Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Today we'll be going over 12.3, which is program testing and maintenance. So first of all, we should be aware of what kind of errors do you usually get when you're writing pseudocode or programming any code in any language. So basically, you have three types of errors that can be generated. We'll start off with logical. So a logical error is when the code is all right in terms of syntax, which means that you've written it correctly, but your logic is basically giving you an incorrect answer. Basically, it could be thought of as like 1 plus 1 equals to 3. In terms of writing this down as an equation, it's correct, but the answer here 3 is incorrect. So that can be highlighted as a logical error. So next we move on to syntax errors. So basically syntax errors are when you don't follow a certain type of requirement by the programming language that you're using. So take for example, if you have a for loop and you're incrementing the index, and rather than writing next index, you use the previous syntax of end for. So in terms of a previous connection to pseudocode, this would be correct, but by the updated syllabus, you need to write next and the count variable that you're using in a for loop, right? So this could be highlighted as a syntax error. Okay, so the next thing we move on to is what is a runtime error. So basically, it's also caused due to some logical error, but we name it differently because sometimes they are also caused due to memory limitations. So take for example, if you try to use try to run a program which gives you the answer to 2 to the power 32, so it's going to take a lot of time for the computer to process, and your memory may not be able to handle it. Therefore, the program may crash or give you an error. Whereas 2 to the power 4 equals to 16 would be very easy for the program as well as the computer to process, right? So this could be highlighted as a runtime error. So it may be caused due to a logical error as well as due to memory limitations. So next we move on to integrated development environment. So basically when you write a program down, so you may be using an integrated development environment to write it down, because take for example if you're using Python, right? So you may be using PyCharm as the IDE. So basically IDEs are software that enable us by providing us features that would help us utilize our time efficiently and write code more productively, right? So we'll be going over the basic features of an IDE. So an IDE is IDE helps us highlight syntax error. So this is known as color coding as well. It also helps us by auto completing our code. For example, if you're using a for loop, right, and you may not want to write the end bracket, so it's gonna complete it when you move on to the next line. As well as single stepping. So single stepping is basically used when you're basically dry running a program. So take for example, if you've written a piece of code and you want to dry run it and you want to check if it's performing correctly, so you're gonna single step through it and check how each variable increments. Next, we move on to program testing. So first of all, we need to understand that all programs need to be tested before they're released, right? So there needs to be a testing strategy on how you're gonna test the program. So there are many different types of methods you could use, but it mostly depends on what kind of a program development cycle is being followed to develop the program to begin with. Now we move on to test data. So the data which you use to test how your program is working out. So basically there are four kinds of test data. So let's move with normal test data. So this is the data that is to be accepted by the program and is used to show if the program is working correctly. Apart from that, we move on to abnormal test data. This is the data which is unsuitable for the program and could cause problems. It could generate errors, right? Extreme test data is basically like providing the data that is on the boundaries. So take for example, if you have a program which has a lower limit of data for 20 and an upper limit for 30, right? So basically inserting 20 and 30 to the program would be known as extreme test data. because these are the extreme two values that are accepted by the current program, right? So I'm going to further extend this concept and help you understand what boundary test data means. So this is in a sense extreme test data, but it may go for 19 and 31 as well, because these are one value lower and above the extreme values. So it may help you check if the values are working for 20 and 30, which are acceptable, whereas it does not work for 19 and 31, which are not acceptable to the current program. So this is the basic difference between extreme test data and the boundary test data, right? So even if you look at the definition here, test data that is on the limit of that accepted by the program, or data that is just outside the limit of that rejected by the program, right? So now we move on to types of testing. So basically, how do you test through your program, right? So we're going to talk about white box testing. So this is the detailed testing of how each procedure works, right? It involves testing the structure and logic of every path through a program module. So basically, if you have like 5 tasks that a program is performing, it's going to check through all 5 of them if they're working correctly, right? For a black box test, you basically test a module's inputs and outputs. You only check if it's taking inputs correctly, it's providing output correctly. You don't need to check the inside code on how it's producing those results, right? Now we move on to integration testing. So this is testing any separately written modules to ensure that they work together. So basically you're testing each and every module differently, and then you're checking if they're compatible with one another. And now we move on to stub testing. So if any modules have not been written yet, but you can use dummy modules to check if the program will work with something of the similar kind. So that is when stub testing is used. Now we move on to alpha testing. So alpha testing is basically when you're almost completed with the program and your inside development team test through it all together. Like you have developed a program and you have this program, right? And you have a team which created this program. So basically it's gonna test through all of it, right? It's gonna test through all of it themselves before providing it to the consumer. When we move on to beta testing, it's sort of the same thing, but the completed program is tested by a small group of users before it is generally released. So you provide beta keys to people, like take for example, if you are familiar with games, a lot of game developers provide beta keys in order to test if their servers are working correctly, if their program is if their game is working correctly. So you may be aware of how beta and alpha testing works. And acceptance testing is basically used to provide the user, provide the customer, and show him if what he requires is being given by the program which you have written. So now we move on to program maintenance. So if you have developed a program, you will obviously have to maintain it because it cannot go extinct like in 2 months or 3 months. So basically there are three type of maintenance in part of our syllabus. So corrective maintenance is used to correct any errors that appear during the use. So when you're first, after you first develop your program and you start using it, so there may be bugs that may occur, there may be some kind of runtime errors that may occur. So you need to solve those before providing it to the consumer, that is. So you use corrective maintenance in order to do that. For perfective maintenance, it is basically if a program has already launched out and you provide updates for it. So for take for example, if you have your phone, every other week there's an update for basically Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. So this is by adding new features to that program. So this is known as perfective maintenance. And now adaptive maintenance is basically altering a program so that it can perform new tasks required by a customer. So basically you write a program and the customer basically has another demand. So he may provide you with the demand and you may have to adapt to, you should adapt to his demand and then maintain the program to perform the new task he requires, because that is known as adaptive maintenance in itself.